Welcome into a quick tutorial on how to load and save. So basically I have just a simple app I created. It's got a label that has a global score, a global level, an increment button that it will simulate like if you were playing a game. So I hit increment, my score goes up by 1, my level goes up by 6. And then I can hit save. So if I quit my game at 3 and 16, but I'm going to hit increment a couple more times just to change it. But if I hit load, it loads it back to what it was. And this is a great thing to use for things like adventure games where maybe you've got rooms or doors. You need to remember what doors have been unlocked, what items have been picked up from a room, what inventory, and you can use dictionaries. So let's take a real quick look at this, and at the end of the video I'll kind of go back in and talk through how I created this app in case you want to test it yourself. But the biggest thing is I've got this SaveManager global. I have it in my projects, in my project settings under globals. I have it as an auto load singleton, which means it's going to be available from the second the game spins up to all the various scenes. Have a save path. This is user : whack whack. I call it save game. This saves on Windows to your user, app data, roaming. There's a folder called Godot, and then under Godot is all your different game names. So that's where it's going to save on the user's local machine. I set up a global score, a global level. I created a variable called data. That's going to hold a dictionary, and the two items in the dictionary are going to be score and level. And pretty simple. I created a global save method. I put print save here because I was just using that for some debugging. But basically, the file, I'm telling it to access the path, and I'm telling it to access with write privileges, and I'm just calling to store the variable data, and this is kind of the default Godot method, and so it's going to strongly type what it saves. So if I save an int, it's going to remember it's an int. If I save a float, it's going to remember it's a float, and then I just close the file. I also have a method load game. I check to make sure if the file exists. Because I want to, and again I put in this print just so I could do some debugging, but I don't want it to try to run any of this load logic if there's no file there, because that's going to cause an error. So if the data's never been saved before, it's just going to return and do nothing. We could put no data to save on a label, whatever you wanted to do there. And then again, if the file does exist, I'm opening with read access. I'm doing a file get variable. Again, this allows me to pull the data from Godot with my strongly typed variables. Strings are strings, ints are ints, floats are floats. I'm going to close the file. Again, I did a print here because I was using that for debugging. And then in my case, I'm just setting my global score to what was saved and my global level to what was saved as level. And then I'm going to hit Control S here to save where I move those. And then in my method, I have just my screen with a load button, a save button, and an increment button. If I go and look at that script, my increment, I'm just incrementing score by 1, level by 5. I created an update levels method because I'm going to call this multiple times, and it's not good code for me to write score text and level text 4 times when I can create the method once and then just call the method. So on ready, I set those. On increment, update the values and then set those. And then if I call save, which is connected to my save button here, you'll see pressed on the button calls our save method here, and it just calls that global. It sets the global score attribute to what the score is. It sets the global level attribute to what the level is, and then it calls that global save manager. And then same thing with load. I call the load game. As you can see, my load button is connected to this load method. I call that global load, and then I update the labels. And it's as simple as that, guys. And as you see, if I restart, my on ready set to 0 and 1, but I can load that file from the last time we played. It's 3 and 16 now. Increment a couple of times. I'll hit save, increment some more, and I load and it puts it back to where it is. But that's a simple and quick way to load and save.